Testing, testing. Testing, testing. Okay, it's time to get started. I'm going to call this special meeting of the Lawton City Council to order. Please stand for the invocation by Pastor Bob Weger and remain standing for the Pledge of Allegiance. Pastor?
Thank you, Mayor. Let's bow for prayer. Father, we come before you today once again thanking you for a beautiful day you've given to us. Lord, as we've gathered together today, we're seeking to conduct a business that will impact each and every one of our citizens and our lives, and we ask for your wisdom, that you would guide and direct us in the decisions that are to be made before us. And we thank you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you, and please call the roll.
Hankins Booker. Smith.
Present.
Chapman. Gill. Hampton. Weger. Williams.
Present.
Warren.
And a quorum is established. Unfinished business, item number 1. Consider approving change order number 1 on project EN 2108P1, McMahon Auditorium Addition and Renovation, Phase 1, in the amount of $725,428.92, which will increase the contract value, GMP, from $7,333,138.45 to $8,059,595.65, and add 70 calendar days to the contract. Who's speaking?
That one? There you go. Beg your pardon. Good afternoon. Back in March, Mayor and Council approved an expenditure from the professional services funds in the engineering department for, unfortunately, additional asbestos abatement at the McMahon Auditorium. At that meeting, we advised you that we obviously would need to follow up with an additional change order to the construction project in order to replace the ceiling. The additional asbestos that was found at that time was in the ceiling and in some pipes in the attic, as we're calling it. So this change order is, in fact, that change order that we had talked about back in March. It is a change order to the contract, the CMAR, Construction Manager at Risk contract with CDBL Incorporated, the local construction firm. Unfortunately, we do need to ask Mayor and Council to consider making a floor amendment. There was a typographical error in the agenda memo. The change order amount itself is a little over $726,000, and the change order document that is included in the agenda packet is the correct amount. Unfortunately, we had a typographical error in the background information and in the agenda item itself that listed it as $725,000 plus or minus. So we would ask that Mayor and Council consider that floor amendment if you so desire. If there are any questions, we'll be glad to try to answer. We've got the architect here. Of course, we have engineering staff as well as representatives of CDBL.
Scott, what was over here, what was the corrected amount?
It's $726,000. It's in the change order document. Bear with me just one moment, please.
We've got it right here. It's 726, 457 and 20 cents.
That's right.
Yes,
Now,
sir.
Council, I did talk to Councilman Gill, who went out there and said that he was in agreement with it. And so if you are in agreement, and of course, I don't want to keep you from asking questions, but if you're in agreement, we need a motion to approve with the recommended floor amendment, changing the change order to $726,457.20. We do have a motion. Do we have a second? We do have a second. Discussion or debate? Please vote. No, Lynn, that asked me to vote, so I just hit abstain, so we go through, okay? Does that work for you? Okay, so the motion carries, and that moves us to item number 2. Direct the city manager to develop and implement a temporary roof repair plan for the Museum of the Great Plains pending permanent repairs through CIP funding. Council, I put this on here because I think we need to move forward with action. It's my understanding that the city manager, or the deputy city manager, had offered to repair the roof and it was declined, and then the big rains came, and then the ensuing Facebook stuff. And so I really feel like the city manager needs to take control of this situation, make the decisions that's best for the city and for the building. And I'd like to see a motion, and not that I'm trying to stifle discussion if somebody wants to make comments, but I'd like to see a motion to direct the city manager. We do have a motion, and we do have a second. Is there discussion or debate? Please vote. And once again, I abstain because I don't know why it's asking me to vote, because I don't vote. But anyway, the motion obviously carries. And that brings up business item number 3. Consider the FY 2026 City of Lawton proposed operating preliminary budget and take appropriate action if necessary to include making amendments to the preliminary budget to be incorporated in the final budget that council considers. John, Rebecca. Rebecca going first? Okay, Rebecca.
Good afternoon, Mayor and Council.
Good afternoon.
Before we begin our budget presentation, I ask that you indulge me a moment to speak to your concerns and to the citizens' concerns shared in this budget process. I have written my statement for clarity and conciseness, so please forgive me, but I'm going to read straight from it. Budgets and audits are the financial representation for our city. Budgets are our very best guesstimate and guideline by which we use to establish the financial boundaries. The audit is the factual and irrefutable evidence of what the city did with their budget. Yet the budget and the audit use different accounting practices. The budget that we operate from uses fund accounting, whereby keeping everything separated and tracked according to the definitions set for each funding source. The audit is based on government-wide accounting, which allows certain funds to be grouped under specific criteria. These complex standards require specialized professionals. Like many municipalities, Lawton partners with experts for this work. Specifically, Crawford & Associates, a CPA firm with 24 years of experience serving municipalities and the state. Timely audits are essential. They provide the foundation for accurate budgeting, and I am pleased to share that we have completed 3 audits in the past 12 months. While this means we're now caught up, staying current is even more important. I have shared with you a summary comparing Lawton's audit filing history with our peer cities. It's the second page that you have attached. Unfortunately, Lawton has not been consistently timely in the past. Having completed 3 audits in the last 12 months, the city is now caught up. A major contributing factor to the city's 2021 a major contributing factor to our budget process has been the fact that the city's 21 transition to a new operating system and our 2022 transition to a new financial institution. Those changes were not smooth or timely, which created what was a time warp, a disruption that delayed the audits of the fiscal year 2022 through 2024 and impacted that budget accuracy. Now that they are complete, we can look back and we see that FY23 was under budgeted by $14 million. FY24 was under budgeted, compared to the audit. This is all compared to the audit, 18 million. And FY25, because the audits had been semi-caught up at the time it was created, we were actually over budgeted by 691,000. Now, while those differences in the budget and the audit are expected, that's just due to the accounting standards. Timely audits dramatically reduce the gap and improve accuracy, as you can see. Today, the budget will be presented, the budget you are going to be presented. Every department, division, and component unit contributed to its development, and the city manager has exhausted all avenues of research and review. This budget has timeliness on its side, and the numbers, while some are tight, they can be trusted. Presenting today is Kristen Huntley, the Deputy Finance Director.
Okay, I do have a few questions. First of all, I have spoke with Frank Crawford, who talked about the problems that were caused when we kind of did a double whammy. We changed software at the same time we changed banks. And he did tell me that that was causing a big disruption and delay in where we were trying to get. Probably told me that about a year ago, as a matter of fact. So I appreciate that you've been working under crazy circumstances. Now, I'd like to get you to explain to me, if you don't mind, on the under budgeting numbers. What does that mean? If we were 14 million under budgeted, what does that mean?
It means between the different accounting standards that the audit uses and the city uses, there was a difference. We actually thought we had less at the time we created our budget than what we did according to the government-wide audit.
Okay. All right, thank you. Now, on this back page, before we go on to Kristen, I'm sorry, are you showing me here that nobody's following their report on time? Is that what you're showing me?
Everyone in green was on time, so it's per year and per city for our peer cities. And so as you can tell, Norman is always on time. Moore is 90% on time, and everyone else falls in the category that we do, where they're delayed by some measure of time.
So, but they're not, obviously they didn't do what we did, I presume, and do two big changes at once, and may not have done any. But I am wondering how Edmond and Broken Arrow show in their budget book that they get the Distinguished Budget Award, which requires you to file on time, if I'm not mistaken.
There have been, since 2020, during the COVID era, some extensions of time. So it's highly probable that due to a backlog that happened during the COVID time, and I was rereading about it just today, that extensions were granted. I can't tell you that's what happened, but highly probable.
Okay, well, the cool thing is, come December 31, we're going to be green and all these other people aren't. And I'd also like to call the council's attention to the fact that we haven't been, since we know, 2011 on time. Is that right?
That is correct.
So 14 years. And I guess 13 years, because we're just filed 24, right?
Correct.
So, all right, very good. Now we're caught up. How about that? Okay, does anybody else have any comments before we move on to Kristen? Thank you very much, Kristen.
So I will be presenting the fiscal year 26 preliminary budget that you all received on April 30th of this year. I will warn you, this is a little long. I will do my best to be quick while still being thorough. And if you have questions, feel free to interrupt at any point. I don't want us to get too far and then you've forgotten your question. We have had a few proposed budget revisions since you received your preliminary budget. We've increased water revenue from Goodyear by $92,000. This will be coming to you next week. We swapped out a solid waste enforcement officer for a container maintenance worker at solid waste request, and that'll save the city $5,200. We've added an adoption/rescue trailer for animal welfare that will cost the city $65,000. We've reduced our fiscal year '25 projected expenses. Last week, I was noticing that some people were claiming they were going to spend more than they had in their budget, which obviously you cannot do. So we were able to save $2.3 million by cleaning that up. We've deferred expenses for a 3/4 ton pickup from fiscal year '25 to fiscal year '26. There's no difference in the fund balance by doing that. We just said we're not going to spend it in fiscal year '25, we're going to spend it next year instead. Same for the next category. We deferred expenses and loan proceeds for the aquatic center from fiscal year '25 to fiscal year '26, and that's due to the weather delays that were spoken about at the last council meeting. We've added fiscal year '25 projected expenses for our capital improvement projects fund, and we reduced the fiscal '26 budgeted expenses by that same amount since they are spending the money this year instead of next year. And then our last revision was we reduced our lobbyist contract by $36,000. So first we're going to talk about revenue. As you can see, our general funds, we are expecting revenue to increase from last year's budget to this year's budget by 60.23%, and I will explain that in the next couple slides. Enterprise funds, we expect to increase by 50.99%, and that is loan proceeds, all of Rusty's OWRB loans. We have those budgeted in there, or some of them are in there. Our capital improvement funds, revenue is down 76.26%. That relates to the general fund increase, which I will get to. Our special revenue funds, the increase is modest, 2.6%. Internal service funds, it actually has a decrease of 1.98%. And then our other funds is up 40.77%. This includes our LIDA fund, which has several of the more recent notes. So that is loan proceeds is what's causing that increase. Any questions before I move on from here? So real quick, just a revenue history. You can see the Lot and Water Authority there in blue has shot up dramatically, and again, that's those loans. Our general fund dipped slightly in fiscal year '23, but it has been slowly increasing since. And then other revenue fluctuates, but overall it's had an increase since fiscal year '21. Next, we'll talk about our general fund revenues. So taxes are up 71.47%. So our code requires that our CIP sales tax be recorded in the general fund and then transferred to the CIP fund. At this time, we have been recording it directly to the CIP fund. So to stay in line with our code, we are going to have to record that in the general fund unless we can change that code, which we are looking into. So that's the big increase there. It's about $33 million, which is about what the CIP sales tax is, well, a little less. Fines and forfeitures we're projecting to increase 2%. Same with our licenses and permits. Parks and Recreation is down 12.3%. There was a resolution passed in March of '24 directing all the lake proceeds to the special revenue fund. So that's the reason for the decrease. The general fund is no longer getting that money. Grants is down 85.74%, about $30,000. At this time, we don't know of any grants for the general fund, but if there are some that come about, we will do a budget adjustment at a later time. Animal welfare revenue, we're projecting a 2% increase. And then our other revenues, which include bank interest, insurance proceeds, library revenue, cemetery revenue, things like that, that is up 1.69%. You will notice the other revenues, the fiscal year '25 number is $18 million, and that's the Central Mall roof repair. So that's the reason for that big increase. Notable increases and decreases to our general fund revenues. City sales tax is up $2.1 million over 3 years. Franchise and ordinance tax is up $646,000. Use tax is up $549,000. Our sales and use tax for the TIF district, we are now recording those directly to the TIF fund. So those are no longer being recorded in the general fund, so that's the reason for that drop-off. The 2.125% sales tax, that's the CIP sales tax. We are going to record that in the general fund and then transfer that to the CIP fund. Swimming pool revenue, this will obviously be new with the new aquatic center. We're estimating $429,000 for that revenue. And then our leases and rentals, this primarily relates to lake leases, and so that's the reason for the big decrease there of $418,000. Moving on to the Lawton Water Authority fund revenues. So our water category, projecting a 4.57% increase. Sewer, 6.09% increase. Refuse, an even 2% increase. And then our other revenues, 61.53% increase. Again, loan proceeds falls under this category. Notable increases to the Lawton Water Authority fund revenues. Over the last 3 years, water revenues we're projecting to increase just over $2 million. Sewer service charge, $590,000. Garbage disposal fees, $591,000. Landfill fees, I'll remind you, we weren't billing in fiscal year 23 with the new software. We picked up that billing in fiscal year 24 and 25, which is what caused that big increase. Now that we're billing like we should have been the whole time, we're going to be back down to $3.2 million approximately. We do have a federal grant that Rusty expects to come in for the Ellsworth Dam, I believe, of $14 million. And then our loan proceeds there are $363 million. Other revenues for our other general funds, stormwater management is going to see an 85% increase approximately. Then that is because we are combining our stormwater and our drainage maintenance funds. Emergency reserve, this is going to decrease slightly, and that is primarily due to bank interest that has slowly started to come down over the last fiscal year. Special revenue is increasing 90.51%, and again, this is where the lake revenue is now held. Enterprise fund is, we project to increase 2.11%. Our sewer rehabilitation revenues decreased 62.11%, and again, that's primarily bank interest coming down there a bit. And then our landfill assurance, same thing. This is bank interest, 37.44%. Our rolling stock fund, when we initially did the fiscal year 25 budget, we were expecting a lease purchase agreement to come about. So we had the loan proceeds from that plugged in. That did not end up materializing. So what you see there for the fiscal year 26 budget, that is just what we expect to receive from the auction. Streets and roadways, GO bonds, obviously this fluctuates depending on how much we can borrow. We're expecting it to be $5.5 million next fiscal year. Capital improvement projects will be up 2.19%. 2005 ad valorem, that is still collecting interest, but it will go down approximately 28.9%. 2012 ad valorem, that is now closed, so there will be no revenue there. 2012 capital improvement, it is still collecting interest, but it'll go down 8.98%. And then our 2019 capital improvement, it's showing an 80.82% decrease, but again, that's because that sales tax is not recorded as revenue in the capital improvement fund anymore. It's a transfer. Any questions on that? All right, moving on to our special revenue funds, drainage maintenance, 100% decrease because we've moved all that money to stormwater division. CDBG fund, we initially had 1.3 million plugged in for revenue. We just got those numbers yesterday. This is going to be about 200,000 lower, so we're going to have to lower the expenses as well. Our grant fund, we plugged in what we know. Obviously, there may be more that come about throughout the fiscal year, but we will bring those to you if that occurs. Lawton Parking Authority receives $100 every year, so no change. Mass Transit Authority has a 15.21% increase in revenue. Hotel Motel, very small increase of 0.43%. Cemetery care fund, slight decrease, 25.19%. Narcotics forfeiture, E911, and our cellular phone system, we're projecting a 2% increase. And then our TIF fund, 100% increase. Again, we are now recording that revenue in that fund. Our health insurance fund, we'll talk about this in a little bit, but less personnel is going to mean less revenue in the form of premiums, so that will be down 1.94%. And then our workers' compensation, we had a budget number plugged in there, but that shouldn't have been there, so we've corrected that for next fiscal year. And then our other funds, debt service prior to 1972, this is where our ad valorem money goes. We've got a 2% increase there. Our LIDA fund, which is where all the LIDA loans proceeds go into, that's increased 134.51%. Municipal trust, this is where court bonds go, 2%. General fixed assets, this is if we make a profit off of an asset, 100%. Fringe benefits and general employee retirement, we're projecting a 2% increase on those revenues. Any questions on revenues before I move on to personnel? Okay. All right. So personnel, general fund, you can see, has the biggest increase. They also have the biggest number of employees. We have 71% of our employees are paid from the general fund. 17% of our employees are paid from the enterprise fund, which is that line in blue. It has increased slightly over the last 6 years. And then other funds, that has also increased slightly. This houses 12% of our employees. Overall, our personnel expenses for the next fiscal year's budget are down. Our general fund has a very slight increase of 1.7%. Stormwater is up 134%, but again, that's because we're combining stormwater and drainage. Drainage is completely wiped out because of that, we're combining them. E911 and the cellular fee is down 5.31%. They are losing 2 employees in next year's budget. CDBG is down 29.87%. There were 2 code enforcement officers that were paid from this fund, and that is no longer happening, so that's the reason for that decrease. Our grant fund is not paying for any employees. As you all know, we did not receive the grant for the RSVP program next year, so that division is going away. Enterprise fund is down 8.48%. They are losing 11 positions in that fund. Sewer rehab is down 8.44%. They are losing 4 positions. IT is down 3.16%. They didn't lose any people, but they have lost a couple of long-term employees, and so that's the reason for that decrease. And then our general employee retirement, we're expecting a slight increase of 3.8%. So quickly, we'll do personnel expenses by account. Salary and wages down 2.56%. Differential standby pay is up 6.13%. Our sick leave pay in lieu is up 22.89%. We're slowly getting more employees that qualify for that sick leave buyout. Contract labor is up 54.89%, and this is primarily due to the aquatic center and all the lifeguards that we'll have to pay for. Part-time is down 19.61%. Overtime is down 5.78%. Holiday pay is up 27.49%, and as you can see, we did not budget enough for this in fiscal year 25, so the big reason for that jump is so that we can accurately budget for that. Terminal leave, this is for employees who leave but have sick leave and are able to pay that out over the year. That is down 35.44%. Unemployment contribution, we over budgeted this one, and so we've lowered our budget for next year by 20.41%. FICA is up 2.21%. Medicare is up 10.48%. Workers' compensation, we've had a good year there, so we budgeted an 8.79% decrease. Group life and hospital, this is our insurance. Less employees, we won't have to pay as much for this, so this is down 4.28%. Our city pension plan is up 1.75%. Police pension is down 3.33%. Fire pension is up 13.2%. Longevity, the police new contract, they have a new longevity program, so this has increased 34.77%. Uniform maintenance is up 0.64%, and then our education incentive is down 26.36%. So notable budget increases, decreases to our personnel expenses. Our fire operations salaries and wages is up $1.9 million over the last 3 years. Police uniform salary and wages is up $1.4 million. General and retirees is up $1.3 million. Our aquatics for the contract labor, $512,000. Neighborhood services, they've received 3 new code enforcement officers plus the 2 that were paid from CDBG that are now paid from the general fund, and that is up $415,000. Police headquarters salaries and wages is up $301,000. Solid waste salaries and wages is up $281,000. Animal welfare salaries and wages is up $236,000. Police technical services, this is the jail, their salaries and wages over the last 3 years has increased $202,000. We do have a couple decreases I wanted to note. Our police headquarters overtime is down $278,000, excuse me. And then our fire operations overtime, that budget is down $419,000. So real quickly, personnel additions and deletions. Some of these have already occurred. Some of these will occur with next year's budget. The city council relations liaison in the city clerks, that was an addition. City manager is losing an auditing tech. Financial services is losing 2 accountants and a senior accountant. Utility services is losing a full service representative. Library is losing a part-time admin assistant. Building maintenance is losing mechanical journeyman and a building construction specialist. Lakes is losing an equipment operator. RSVP is losing that RSVP administrator. Again, we did not get that grant. On the aquatic center, they've hired a superintendent, a supervisor, and a maintenance tech. The building division lost 4, the license and permits lost 4 people, chief building official, plumbing inspector, mechanical inspector, and an administrative assistant. Neighborhood services gained 3 code enforcement officers. Stormwater has lost 2 equipment operators. Streets is losing 2 cement finishers, a senior equipment operator, an equipment operator, and a laborer 1. Electronic maintenance is losing an electronic technician. Solid waste is losing an enforcement officer and 2 sanitation workers. Engineering lost a civil engineer. Sewer system construction, we cut a senior equipment operator and 2 laborer 1s. Sewer system technical, we cut a civil engineer. Water distribution was cut 2 principal equipment operators and a senior equipment operator. Wastewater treatment plant was cut a maintenance supervisor and a wastewater treatment plant operator. Meter services gained 2 meter technicians. Animal welfare gained an animal welfare officer. And then emergency communications lost a telecommunicator 2 and 1. So I did the math on all this. Overall, we are down 26 positions, and this saved us $1.6 million. So you can see our staffing levels throughout the fiscal years. In '23, we were at 880. We dropped to 857 in fiscal year '24. We went back up to 883 in fiscal year '25. And we are back to that fiscal year '24 number of 857. Any questions before we move on to operating expenses? So here's a chart showing the history of our operating expenses. General fund, I'd like to highlight, is at its fiscal year '21 levels. We've made quite a bit of cuts here to try to save the city some money. Enterprise is up slightly from fiscal year '21. And then our other funds fluctuate, but overall it's trending up. So our general funds and our enterprise funds are both down in operating expenses. Unfortunately, this is the consequence of flat revenue. Capital improvement funds are up 151%. Special revenue funds up 16.74%. Internal service funds are up 33.78%. This is primarily IT, and we will get to some of those expenses in a minute. And then our other funds is up 82.25%. But overall, our operating expenses throughout the city are up 2.33%. So we'll go through the general fund operating expenses by account. You can see supplies, tools, and equipment is down $372,000. Computer supplies is up slightly, $35,000. Weapons is up $65,000, and this includes ammunition. Radios is up $3,900. Library books is down slightly, $6,900. Petroleum products, which is fuel for our vehicles, down $123,000. Chemicals, this is primarily pesticide and weed killer. This is up $330,000. Repair and maintenance is down $8.4 million. If you'll remember, we waived Council Policy 4-1, which was that $10 million for streets, and that's the effect of that. Contractual maintenance is down $167,000. Maintenance material, motive equipment, these are items used to fix our vehicles. This is down $439,000. Uniform and clothing is up $35,000. Rental, publication, and printing is down $29,000. Contingency, it shows it's up $530,000. This was actually budgeted at $900,000 this fiscal year, and when a division needs the money, we transfer it out. So it doesn't show as in our budget anymore because we've transferred it out. Professional and technical services is down $646,000. Mowing is up $7,500. Legal expenses for next year's budget are down $140,000. Landline, cell phone, and internet is down $6,200. Postage is up slightly, $15,000. Electricity and natural gas is up $27,000. Insurance is up $34,000. Dues and memberships is down slightly, $1,777. Training and travel, we did cut just about all out-of-state travel, and that saved us $16,000 there. Election expense is up $10,000. And then our other refunds expenses, it shows it's down $1.9 million. This is where that Fisher 59 incentive was paid this year, and since we're not paying that next year, obviously, we're going to save $1.9 million there. So notable increases and decreases to the general fund operating expenses. Professional and technical services in city at large is up $1.4 million. We have money for an insurance adjuster budgeted in this account. Professional and technical services for streets is up $972,000. This is the WSB contract. Contingency for city at large, it shows it's up $446,000. It's actually, if you were to look at the true budget, it's up $50,000. Insurance for city at large, we are expecting a premium increase, so this is up $402,000. Professional and technical services for the city manager is up $277,000. Legal expenses for the city attorney over the last 3 years is up $277,000. Chemicals and repair and maintenance, this is for the new aquatic center, so these are new expenses. Those are $270,000 each. Weapons for police training. In fiscal year 24, we were not having them pay for their ammunition out of this account. We switched that in fiscal year 25 so we can better track it. So that's the reason for that big increase. Professional and technical services for mass transit. This is the city match over the last 3 years. That's increased $200,000. And then a couple decreases to mention. Police headquarters professional and technical services is down $293,000. And then the repair and maintenance and street is down $4.5 million. So moving on to our enterprise fund, you'll see supplies, tools, and equipment is down $61,000. Computer supplies is up $13,000. Radios is up $267. Meter supplies is up $21,000. Chemicals went down for Lawton Water Authority, $505,000. Repair and maintenance is down $75,000. Contractual maintenance is up $32,000. Uniform and clothing is down $10,000. Moving on to rental, publication, and printing, it is down $195,000 in this fund. Professional and technical services is up $322,000. This is for things like inspections, lab testing, engineering support. Landline, cell phones, and internet is up $5,900. Postage is up $6,500. Electricity and natural gas is down $87,000. And as you can see, they're not going to use all that they had in their budget for fiscal year '25. Dues and memberships is up slightly, $2,775. Training and travel, just under $5,000. Other refunds and expenses is down $990. And then the Oklahoma State Department of Health, this is the state landfill fee that we pay. This is the enterprise fund portion of it. Essentially, we collect the fee, but what we don't collect, the enterprise fund has to pay the difference. You can see this year we're projecting that we're going to have to pay $55,000. Next year, because of the rate increase that was just approved, we expect to pay only $25,000. So notable increases and decreases to the enterprise fund operating expenses. Our portion of the Waurika expenses is up $808,000 for the silt removal and operations, and then electricity and natural gas is up $173,000. Repair and maintenance for the Southeast Water Treatment Plant is up $134,000. Professional and technical services for Medicine Park Water Treatment Plant is up $100,000. Chemicals for the Southeast Water Treatment Plant is up $99,000. And a few decreases. Wastewater treatment plant professional and technical services is down $87,000. The Oklahoma State Department of Health, that landfill fee is down $140,000. Meter supplies for meter services is down $154,000. And rental, publication, and printing for the wastewater treatment plant is down $160,000. Our other fund operating expenses, stormwater is down $101,000. Our special revenue, I've plugged in the entire fund balance so that we don't have to bring a budget amendment back to council at a later date. So that's the reason for that big increase of $8 million. Water system impact fee, we are slowly paying these down, so that has decreased $69,000. Drainage maintenance, again, we're combining that with stormwater, so that is down to zero. Lot and parking authority, we collect $100 a year, so we've budgeted $300 more to account for the fund balance in that account. Mass transit is up slightly, $188,000. Hotel motel is up $202,000 over the last 3 years. Cemetery care, we had spent all that money down in fiscal year '23, so we haven't had anything budgeted, but we have enough of a fund balance to begin budgeting some of those expenses again. Narcotics forfeiture, we have a slight increase of $7,500. E911, we had an increase of $133,000. Yes.
Would you go over the special revenue, $8 million again, please?
Yes, so in the special revenue fund is the lake's expenses. We also have, if you were to make a donation to the police department or the fire department, that money goes in there as well. And so that money has accumulated over the years. And I try to send out reminders to everybody, hey, this money's sitting here, it can be used for this purpose. But it doesn't always get spent, clearly, and so it's just sitting there. So we go ahead and budget it as if they're going to spend it all. Cellular phone system, $38,000 increase. CDBG is down $1.4 million. Our grants are up $3,092,000. And again, this is grant money that's we've received but haven't spent, so we want to go ahead and budget it so that they can spend it. Our TIF revenues, you can see there, we budgeted $960,000, we're only projecting $748,000, so we decreased that for next year. Our debt service prior to 1972, those expenses down $1,000. 2012 ad valorem, again, that has gone away, so we don't have any expenses for next year. Capital improvement projects, this is where D&D is housed. Fire cost recovery fees are in here, and so we budget the entire fund balance so that they're able to spend it. LIDA is up $834,000, and this is for a future loan. Any closing costs that we may have for that. Lot and Water Authority is up $501,000. I know Rusty has a few more loans that he'll be going out for next year, so these are closing costs for that. And then sewer rehab is down $2.1 million. Landfill financial assurance, no change there. Information technology is up $1.9 million. Health fund is up $1.2 million. License and permits, no change. Fringe benefits is up very slightly, $3,800. And then our general employee retirement is up $128,000. So a few notable increases and decreases to our other fund expenses. Contract maintenance in IT is up $1.4 million. This is our Tyler software, our financial software. The professional and technical services in IT is up $884,000. This is a variety of software applications. Professional and technical services in sewer rehab is up $757,000. This is contract engineering and flow monitoring. Insurance claim payments is up $678,000. Dues and memberships for IT is up $343,000. This is for our email, antivirus, things like that. Other expenses for LIDA is up $314,000, and again, that's loan closing cost. Contractual maintenance for E911, that's for their software out there, it's up $229,000. Other expenses for home, these are home rehabs, it's up $200,000 over the last 3 years. And then sewer rehab had a decrease in the repairs and maintenance of $605,000. Any questions on operating expenses before we move on to capital improvement? Okay, this is the last section. So here's our capital outlay, capital improvement, other expenses overview. General fund, you can see, is down 90.79%. Enterprise funds is down 10.83%. Our capital improvement funds are down 16.49%. Special revenue funds are down 92.12%. And the big reason for that increase is this is where that ARPA money has been sitting, and we expect to spend that all this fiscal year. And then our internal services funds are up 2,000%, and our other funds are up 39.68%. But overall, our capital outlay improvement, other expenses are down 17.26%. Our general fund capital outlay is down. Machinery and equipment is down $2 million. Construction improvements and addition is down $16 million, but again, this is where the mall roof repair was paid from, so that's the reason for that decrease. And then our software is down $75,000, so overall, our budget from last year to this year for our capital outlay in the general fund is down almost $19 million. We do have a few general fund capital outlay items in next year's budget. Metal detector software for the city manager's office is $15,000. The lake improvements that were a part of the LIDA 2024C note, it's going to be paid in the general fund, and then the note will reimburse the general fund, and that's $2.3 million. DataWorks software in the jail is $34,000. We have a livestock trailer, an incinerator, an adoption rescue trailer, and an intake center for animal welfare. And then the physical fitness equipment that is required by the collective bargaining agreement for fire, $7,500. Enterprise fund capital outlay, we do have increases here. Machinery and equipment is up $66,000. And construction improvements and additions are up $1.1 million. So overall, they've increased from last year's budget to next year's budget by $1.2 million. Wastewater collection is receiving a lift station pump replacement. That is $44,000. Medicine Park Water Treatment Plant, they are going to do lagoon discharge monitoring for $23,400. Chemical feed equipment, polymer feed systems, $30,000. Clearwell, effluent project, $9,260. Sludge clarifier project, $9,270. Ammonia monochloramine analyzer, $35,500. Hope I said that right. Laboratory refrigerator, $8,010. Remote access electrical switching, $50,000. HVAC repair and replace is $1.2 million. And then for the Southeast Water Treatment Plant, there's a Clearwater Effluent Analysis Project for $9,260. Headworks Analysis Project, $5,800. HVAC repair and replace, $13,000. So our other fund, capital outlay, capital improvements, stormwater does not have anything in next year's budget, as does the special revenue and drainage maintenance. McMahon Authority, we have some old McMahon money, so we always budget for it, $1,521. Hotel motel, this is economic development money. We have $500,000 in next year's budget, and we actually have an item going to council next Tuesday to kind of discuss the hotel motel expenditures. Cemetery care is up $75,000. They are purchasing a few mowers and some other items that we'll get into. There are no expenses for narcotics fund or E911. Cellular fee is going to spend $191,000. We don't have any expenditures for grants because we are spending that ARPA money this fiscal year. Rolling stock, we have $1.3 million budgeted, but that is down $6.6 million from last year's budget. Our capital improvement projects fund is down $956,000. Sewer rehab is down $169,000. And then our information technology fund is up almost $2.5 million, and we'll get into those expenses in the next couple slides. So here are those expenses that I just went over. We have the McMahon grant eligible items, the economic development for the hotel motel. For the cemetery care fund, they are purchasing an ATV with a plow and 4 61-inch mowers. E911 year 2 carbine fees, I am not 100% sure what that is, but if you have questions, Jessica can fill you in on that. We have a lease payment for a compactor for the solid waste division of $262,000. This will be the last of that payment. Animal welfare is getting a Ford F-250 with a truck body and a wrap. That's $114,000. Fire operations has 3 lease payments next year, and this is the second of 5 lease payments for them. And that is all funded by rolling stock. Rogers Lane Lighting Project, that is actually a grant that FISTA had that we are doing the project and then they are reimbursing us the money for it. We're expecting to spend $1.9 million next year. Sewer rehab is receiving a dump truck, $156,000. And then IT has several new things in their budget for next fiscal year. They are paying for the police body and dash cams payment. That's the second of 5 payments. Fire department alarm system, InterGov/EP&L mobile licensing, and then the Windows Server and Microsoft SQL Server licensing. Real quickly, this is all the loans that Rusty has that are in the Lawton Water Authority fund and all of the projects for that. I will not read each of these, but just for your information. A few of the last 4, I will note, are future loans that he plans on going out for in this fiscal year, or fiscal year 26. Our capital improvement expenses overview, our streets and roadway GO bond, we had $26 million budgeted. We're actually spending more than we have spent in years prior. We're expected to spend $16 million. We've got $19 million plugged in for next year's budget, but overall this is a decrease from this year's budget by 24.67%. 2005 ad valorem, a slight increase of 13.12%. 2012 ad valorem, we have rolled that money to the sinking fund, so there's no money there to allocate. 2012 capital improvement, $3.6 million. And then the 2019 capital improvement, we have $158 million budgeted, but compared to last year's budget, we are actually down 11.45%. And I will note that any projects that may be on a future loan are not included in this budget. Once we secure any loan, then we will bring a budget amendment to add those projects at that time. Streets and roadways, GO bond expenses. This is just a placeholder. Obviously, things where we have signed contracts for, we have to do, like the EN 1707 ad valorem streets projects. We need to finish those, which is $450,000 each for Phase 2A and B. 38th Street reconstruction, from what I was told, we're expected to finish that project or finish the design. EN 2012 Cash Road Bridge rehab, we have $600,000 for next year's budget. We don't plan on spending anything for the citywide pavement rehab. Sheridan Road reconstruction, we have $7.1 million plugged in for next year's budget. For the 11th Street Bridge, we have $7 million plugged in. I just found out a couple hours ago that we're only going to need, I believe she said $3.1 million. So that will free up some ad valorem money for another project. And then our 38th Street rehab, we have $4.3 million plugged in, and I believe this was approved back in March. Overall, our 2019 capital improvement program history, you can see there was a slight gap in fiscal year 23 between expenses and revenues, but for the most part, we are expending what we're receiving. 2019 capital improvements expenses, I'll just read the ones that we have in next year's budget. Our Kids First initiative, we have $1.4 million. Wildflowers, we have $25,000. Marie Deddy Youth Programs, $100,000. LPS Summer STEM Camp, $75,000. Arts for All, $55,000. YFAC Groups, $105,000. Bridge Rehab, EN 2106, we have $249,000 for next year's budget. McMahon Auditorium Project, $6.4 million. Library ceiling renovation, $220,000. ODOT TAP grant projects, we have $270,000. LATS transportation improvements, $2.4 million. SCADA improvements, $156,000. Water and sewer line replacement, $771,000. Goodyear Boulevard, $1.1 million. Lakes Gates operation, $116,000. Industrial water main, phase 1 and 2, just over $2 million, and that is funded by ARPA. Lawton Fort Sill water resiliency, $1.3 million, and that is funded by a grant. Cash Road water line design, $70,000. Park improvements, $92,000. The Elmer Thomas Park Aquatic Center, we're expecting we'll have $5 million left to spend in next fiscal year, just for remaining invoices as they come in. West Gore Signal Timing Project, $247,000. US 62 Interchange Project, $394,000. FAP loan projects, this is another one of Rusty's loans, $41 million. CWSRF, $25 million loan projects, we have $21 million in the budget for next year for those. DWSRF, $29 million loan projects, $28 million plugged into the budget for those. CWSRF, $30 million loan projects. We have $16 million plugged into next year's budget for that. DWSRF, $30 million loan projects. We have $10.5 million plugged in for next year. And CWSRF, $40 million loan projects, just under $1.9 million. For FISTA, we have $1 million in next year's budget. LEDC has $500,000. Fisher 59, $1.1 million. CIP transfers, and this includes transfers for the public safety sales tax, the reserve fund, and sewer rehab, is $6.5 million. Loan payments are just under $17.5 million. Reimbursement resolutions, we have several that have already been approved. Elmer Thomas Park Boardwalk and Amphitheater, Youth Sports Authority, police technical upgrades, and the Aquatic Center parking lot. And then there's also a few that we anticipate will be approved for the Tyler Software, West Wind, and the fire department alarm system.
Can you give us a little more explanation on reimbursement resolutions?
So a reimbursement resolution, the general fund has covered these expenses, and there's the intent that the CIP fund will reimburse those expenses once the CIP fund gets the money to do so.
Okay. I've had some discussions about resolution reimbursements for what the TIF owes the general fund. Have we done anything in that regard, or do we have it on the drawing board?
I saw an item for next council meeting. I
Pardon
didn't read it. There's an item I saw on next council meeting addressing that.
Thank you.
Okay. But it has not been incorporated into this budget yet. This is my last slide. So fund balance for the general funds, we are projecting a fund balance of $5.7 million. This includes general funds, stormwater, the reserve fund, and our special revenue fund. Enterprise funds, we're expecting a fund balance of $86 million. Capital improvement funds, fund balance of $1.1 million. Special revenue funds, $6.4 million. Internal services funds, $16.5 million. And then our other funds, $322 million. Any questions?
So one thing I'd like to see, and you may have gone through this and I missed it, we went through pretty fast and you did a great job. What is our expected CIP income?
For revenue, let me go back through here.
Now, I'm not talking about ad valorem. I'm talking about sales tax CIP.
For the sales tax, it is, I had it, yes. So it is that 2.125%. It's 31.7 million. It is going to be recorded in the general fund initially and then transferred to the CIP fund.
And Kristen, does that include the use tax?
No, use tax is just under 5 million.
Okay, so we add the 5 to that.
Yes.
Thank you. That's what I was looking for. Thank you very much.
Any other questions? I know I went through that really fast.
Can you go back to the slides where it showed those streets like Sheridan and 38?
The ad valorem slide? There it is. Okay. And again, this is pretty fluid unless we've signed a contract like we have for the 38th Street rehab. That 4.3 million is committed. But like I said, the 11th Street Bridge rehab came in way under, so we will have some money there to allocate somewhere else.
Okay, are you through?
I am
You're ju-
through.
You're just wanting questions?
Yeah,
Are there any
just
more questions?
making sure.
I thought it was a great presentation. I commend the entire staff, city manager and all of his staff for working on a budget that really tightens our belt, but serves the customer. And I think we have while it's difficult, I think it's a great opportunity to move towards maximizing taxpayer value. And so we're doing that right here. There's a lot of excitement about all that's going on that's driven by the CIP, so I'm glad to see that I underestimated CIP income. Believe me, that's a big risk, a big relief. So, but I do think going forward, we're going to have a lot of taxpayer value optimization, and I appreciate that. And I'm going to talk about that a little bit more. And I'm going to make the assumption that the council is going to want to go ahead and send this and go forward with it. I certainly do. And I think that a great job has been done. Once again, it's a great opportunity for us to meet what our peer cities are doing, and hopefully we'll be able to accelerate that program. Mayor Pro Tem.
I just wanted to make a comment. Early on, beginning of the year, I made a comment about this being the ugliest budget that I had ever seen. And that was true. Some of it was kind of taken out of context, but I knew that it was going to be difficult. But I think, as the mayor said, the city manager and his staff have done a wonderful job. It's very difficult. It's really easy to add money. It's very difficult to remove money because a lot of times, well, most times, you know that's something that's seriously needed. And it's a balancing act to put things off that you can put off. But I think the manager and his staff have done a wonderful job.
One thing I do want to clarify is that soon we'll be going out for a loan, and while our 105 and 25 is delayed, it is not written off. Is that correct? So there'll be a delay in getting that going, but we are going to be able to fund our 105 and 25, correct?
That's correct. Chris Gander is scheduled to be here at the next meeting on the 27th,
Okay.
and we'll be talking about that loan.
Okay, great. Good news. Okay, and like lots of things in government, things move to the right, and that's the way it works. But the money hasn't disappeared, it just sometimes moves to the right with delays. Yes, Mr. Hampton?
Yeah, I just want to say that, you know, in the private sector, when you deal with money, and it's one of the things that I've learned since I've been on council, is totally different than how public money is done, because it's important to make sure that we are accountable for taxpayer dollars. And it's difficult, for me, it's almost like they're opposite of each other, the way that you deal with making revenue and stuff. So I just want to commend the city manager and his staff for the work that they do, because it's quite a chore to handle money and make sure there's all the accountability and everything. So a great job.
Okay, thank you. Anybody else? What action do we need to take on this, or if we take none, does it go to?
Nothing today. We do have the public hearing next Tuesday.
Okay, so it just moves forward with no action. Is everybody fine?
Move to adjourn.
Have a motion to adjourn. Is there a second? Do we have a second? Please call the roll.
Hankins Booker? Smith? Hampton? Uyghur? Williams?
Yes.
Warren?
Hey, Kristen?
IT.